Welcome along everybody. So today I'm going to be showing you how I made this card, which is called Quick, Catch Him, It's Falling. You can see the mouse is falling and hopefully they'll catch him. So for this card I'm going to be using the grass from the texture set, which is the smaller one here. This is a must-have set. I'm going to be using the tall sunflower and all the mice from the summer snooze set, and I'm going to be using the bush, the large bush from the in the swing set. I'm also going to be using the centre of the sunflower from the sunflower set, but you don't have to do that because there is a centre in the sunflower, so that's just really optional. Okay, so I'm going to start by I've cut a piece of copier paper in half. You can see I've marked top and bottom. So I'm going to start with my grass. So I'm going to place this copier paper around there, just under halfway down. And then I'm going to be using a blending brush, but you know, you can use any brush you've got, or the dry baby wipe technique. Is entirely up to you. And I'm going to be using Versacraft Pine. Now Versacraft Pine is quite an opaque ink, and this one's a new ink pad, so I'm going to run it across my brush like this, but then I'm going to run it off onto some paper first because I don't want really dark green. So then all I do is start from the line and then run it across the line of the horizon, but I'm going to leave about ½ an inch either side because I don't want it to go right to the edge. Now if you want to mark this off with stencil tape, you can, but I quite like the the freer, easier line of this. I think it lends itself to this card, so I'm not going to do that this time. So you can see I'm just blending down into the bottom of the card, and then I'm just going to add a little bit more of the green to my brush like that. There will be a full list of all the colours that I use on the comments section as usual, and I'm just going to go back over that horizon line and make it a little bit darker, and then back down into the card itself. Now, you know, if you take it off and you think, oh, I haven't done it, I want it a bit darker than that, well, you know, you can always add afterwards. So, you know, I always think it's better to add a little bit at a time and then see how it looks. So if we take that away, you see we've got the bottom of our picture. And then I'm going to do exactly the same with the top. I'm going to put this in place. I'm going to leave just a little bit of a gap. And this time I'm going to use royal blue versacolor, which I always use for skies. This is quite an old ink pad, so I probably won't have to run it off. I'm just going to brush it on my blending brush and then just test that it's not too strong. It's always a good idea to do that because I always say to you, you can add colour, you can't take away. And then this is a really simple technique that I do most of my skies with. I'm just going to go in swirly motions like that. And I'm going to leave it like that for now because obviously I'm going to put a sun in and the sunflower is going to go in there, so I don't want to sort of disrupt that. I can always go in with my baby wipe later, and if you feel like, so if you do that and you feel like you've got a few lines there, just take a clean section of your baby wipe and blend the blue in a little bit more like that. So now I'm going to add a little bit of sun to the horizon line, and for this I'm going to be using marigold yellow, which is Versacolor. And I'm just going to take a tiny bit. Now again, this is a new ink pad, so I'm just going to rub a little bit off onto my paper and then just blend it up. Now I only really want this in the middle because the bushes are going to go either side, so I'm going to put that there. And then I'm going to add a little bit of Versacolor orange as well. Again, I'm just going to blend it off on my paper and then work it up. And then I am going to put a little bit either side of the orange because when you stamp the bush stamp, you'll notice there's tiny little gaps in it. And so the orange will show through as if the sun's shining through it. And I think that's enough. Then I'm going to add the sun. So I've happened to have one of these stencils, but you can use any round stencil. Again, if you haven't got a stencil, just cut a circle into a piece of copy of paper, because this doesn't have to be exact. And again, I'm using the marigold. Again, I'm going to blend it off. Now, we want the sun to be quite watery, so I'm going to blend that right off onto a bit of scrap paper. The sun's going to go about there, and then I'm going to just work around the circle and create my sun, and probably a little bit more yellow, I think. And I say, you just, you can make your mind up as you go along. Really want the sunflower to be the feature of this, so we don't want to make the sun too yellow because it might detract from that. And then what I'm going to do is, with the little bit of orange I had from the sunset, I'm just going to create a halo around the sun just by running the baby wipe around. Let me use the other colour, sorry, the other bit of orange there. There, and that just creates a little halo around the sun. Don't put any more ink on because you want that to be quite subtle, like that. Okay, so now we come on to our sunflower, and I'm going to put this piece of paper over my work so you can see how I ink up. I'm using the Versacraft Pine. Now, the thing is with Versacraft Pine, it's a lovely thick ink and it stamps really well over the Versacolor, but it does take a little bit longer to dry. So if you're going to blend around it, just be careful you don't smudge your other work. And then I'm going to use the marigold for the sunflower. So I'm going to put quite a lot of this on because I want it to be really prominent. It's the main feature of this card. So stamp it all over. And then round the edge, I'm just going to add, can you see what I'm doing? Just a little bit of the orange around the edge of that. Now, I'm inking all over this because I'm going to add a centre. But if you haven't got the centre from the other set, then just leave the centre clear or wipe it and then stamp that in brown or black, whichever you want. And then we're going to put our sunflower about here. So place it on the card. And as I always say to you, give it a good press. Give you the ink a few minutes to absorb into the card. Because, for the sake of a couple of seconds, you'll get a better imprint. And then we remove that, and then we've got a lovely print of the sunflower. And then I'm just going to add my centre. I'm going to use Versaclair Fallen Leaves for this. Now, Versaclair is quite a dark brown ink. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm just going to stamp this off first, very gently, onto this bit of paper, before I put it into the centre of my sunflower. And we'll just add that there like that. And don't worry if it's a bit off centre, because sunflowers aren't perfect, are they? Then what I like to do is just get a little fineliner and just have some little fronds sort of coming out from the sunflower like that. And also, if you want to, you can just add some black dots, because the centre of sunflower is sort of black and brown, and it just makes it look a little bit more natural. Okay, so now we're going to put our mice in, because they're obviously the other main feature of this card. And again, I'm going to stamp those in the the Versaclair Fallen Leaves. So first of all, I'm going to take the two mice that sit either side. And I'm just going to put this again on my work so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to stamp him in cover him in the Versaclair Fallen Leaves. And then I'm going to position him sitting underneath there, sitting underneath the flower. And then you have to remember with these smaller stamps, don't press too hard because you might lose some of the detail. So just allow the ink to set into your card is the better way to do it. And then I'm going to put that there so I don't smudge him. I'm going to do the same with the mouse on the other side. And then we're going to turn him around so they sort of back to back. And they've got their arms outstretched as if they were going to catch him. So like that, you see. And then we're going to ink up, let me move that over there, going to ink up the mouse that's actually on the leaf. Sorry, no, this is the one that's falling. So we'll put the towel on the leaf so it's sort of holding on to something, and then because this is versafine clair, it should stamp quite nicely like that, you see, over the versacraft. And then we'll take the other little mouse in the set, so there's 4 in this set altogether, and you can use them all, and then he can be sitting on this leaf here, raising the alarm. So there we have our 4 mice. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just put in some grass. This grass comes from the new texture set, and honestly I would advise you to get it because it's a really useful set. So what I'm going to use for this is Versacolor Evergreen, and this again is a new pad, so I'm just going to be a little bit gentle. I'm just going to gently ink that up, and then I'm going to put some grass in here. You see how lovely that stamps. Ink it up again, and I'm going to have another one here, and then one down in the front here, and then one behind the mice. What I'm going to do here, because I don't want it to go off onto the white bit, so I'm just going to put that there to mask off that, so we've just got the little bit of grass end in there. And then where the mice are, I'm going to go back to my original piece of paper that I cut. Can you see? And I'm going to just place it underneath them. I'm going to take the evergreen, just take a little bit onto a baby wipe, rub it off onto here, and then I'm going to create the sort of place where they're sitting, and then again just build up your colour here along there like that, and then you just move your paper every now and again and have a look, and I think I'll move that down slightly like that because I want it to look like they're actually sitting in the bit where the sunflower is actually planted. And then we'll take it right up to the sunflower stem, like that. You see, so you've got the, you've got sort of almost like you've created a little flower bed. And then I'm going to take a tiny bit of the brown. And again, don't forget, this is very, very strong brown. So again, I'm going to rub this right off onto this piece of paper, and then just add it where the bottom of the sunflower is, so it resembles mud a little bit. Don't worry too much about this because we're going to put some grass along here, so it doesn't matter too much. But can you see that we've created a sort of flower bed? So then what I'm going to do is go back to my grass stamp, ink it up again, and then with that in place there, I'm just going to add some grass. So I'm not stamping the whole thing, I'm just stamping the top of it like that. Can you see? And then just a little bit more in the centre there where the mice aren't sitting. And then what we do is we do exactly the same for where we've marked the other pieces of grass. So again here we just line that up and then just run our green along there. Again, this is the Versacolor Evergreen. And then it just, you know, looks like little clumps of grass, little flower beds. We're going to do the same up here. And you can see I'm not re-inking, I'm just taking the ink that's already on this piece of scrap paper that I used before, and then we'll do that one there. Like that. Okay, and then I'm just going to again go in with a tiny little bit of the Versacolor, keep getting muddled up with the inks, Versaclair Fallen Leaves. And again, I'm just going to be very, just like make sure that's the same sort of shape you used before, and just right in the middle, just add a little bit of the darker, the brown, so it mimics what would be mud where the grass is growing. You don't need a lot of this. It's just really to almost to ground the grass. I don't know whether that is even a thing, ground the grass, but you know what I mean. So it doesn't look like the grass is sort of floating in thin air. And obviously when you look at grass, there will be patches of mud within it. So I think that's probably enough for now. Now, if you notice, I've smudged this, so I'll come back to that at the end of the card and show you how I get rid of that. Now I'm going to take my bush stamp. So this is the large bush stamp out of the set. And I'm going to just put that on there. And I'm going to ink this up in the Versacraft. Now, remember I told you my Versacraft ink pad is quite new. So I'm going to give it a good ink in, because then what I'm going to do is just lay it on top of the paper like that to take a little bit of that ink off. And then we're going to put our horizon line back in, which is this one. Let's just line it up. That's it, like that. And then we just want, you don't want to cover it right over, just so you've got a little bit of the green showing. And then we're going to put our first bush there, like that. And then I'm going to do exactly the same again. Now, the nice thing about putting things into the background of your pictures is that it just gives the picture a little bit of perspective, you know, a little bit of depth, so that the sort of the mice are nearer to us and this background is at the back. So I'm going to stamp the last bush first there, and then one more next to it. And again, just lay that off a little bit, and then I'm going to put that one, I'm going to overlap it a little bit and then put that one there. Now, I then would go in with my baby white. I wouldn't add any more ink. I've just got a bit of the evergreen left on there. And what I'm going to do is just at the bottom of these bushes, add a little bit of the darker colour, because that not only creates a sort of proper line for them, so they don't look as if they're floating, but, you know, that would happen, that they would be darker underneath where the light isn't getting to them. So we're just going to add that in, and it also gives it a little bit more of a, you get a more 3D look, because you've got different colours going on. But that's all we need to do really with that. And then I'm going to go back to my yellow. Now, there might be enough on here from when I did the sun, because I just want to create a little bit of what would be the sun's reflection over this green here. And I think there probably is enough on there, because you only just want to give a hint of that, and we'll bring it right up to here. Like that. I don't know if that shows. I'll maybe do a little bit more just so you can see it on video, but not too much. So we just go, yeah, that's better. You can probably see that a bit better now. And then that's just the way the sun's coming down from the sky. Now then, look at your card, and then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some contour lines in here, because the grass wouldn't be completely flat like that. And again, I'm going to use my Versacraft pine. As always, just rub it off like this, and then can you see? You're just creating a sort of contour line there, like that. And then we're going to put in another one just underneath that. Like that. And then we're going to put one underneath this grass here. And then we're going to add a few more. We're going to add one along here where the mice are sitting. I'm sorry if you can hear that drilling. My neighbours having work done to their house, and frankly, it's driving me mad. It's been going on a week, so hopefully they'll be finished soon. Oh, the trials, of making videos. And then we add that one there, like that. And then I think we'll just have one more in the middle, just to give it a bit of continuity. Like that. I'm not going to add any more in the background, because I think it looks all right like that. Obviously, you can if you want to. Now we can go back to the sky. So you can look at your sky and think, do I need the blue to be a bit more prominent? So I'm taking my royal blue with a baby wipe, rubbing it off, and then I'm just going to add the blue like this. And a little bit on the horizon there. And to be honest, I think that's fine. I think that will do. Maybe a little bit over the top there. And for this picture, you know, that's all we need really, because the main feature of this picture is, of course, our wonderful mice. So I'm just going to wipe my hands now. And as you will see on this card, I've smudged quite badly there and there. Now, there's this thing called a monorubber, which is a sand eraser, and it's quite good for these little ones here. So we're just going to take it and rub those out like that. And when you've done that, you need to take a clean, very clean part of your, preferably a brand new baby wipe, a dry baby wipe, and then just dust that off. Now, what you've got to remember whenever you use an eraser or sandpaper on your card is that it will then create a rough surface if you're going to ink back over it. So just be very careful and do this when you've finished, because otherwise you're going to have big dark patches on your card where you've gone over the ink. And I think that's all right. I don't think that shows. And then this one is quite dark. So we'll start off with this eraser like that. Just find a clean bit of my baby wipe now to brush that off. And then if you find that doesn't work, I've just got a very fine sandpaper here, which you can use. And again, what this does is obviously it takes a layer of the paper off. So if you're going to do this, make sure you do it right at the end of making your card. And you can see how it's taking that layer of paper off. This is very, very fine sandpaper. Don't use ordinary sandpaper because you'll just make a big hole in your card. And I think we're nearly there. And then again, just take your dry baby wipe. And then I'm just going to clear that away because I don't want any of that sticking onto some of the ink that might be still wet on the card. So we just clear the space again and then just brush that away, and then any remaining little bits you could probably remove now with the rubber like that. So that's my card. Quick, Catch Him He's Falling. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to welcome you along next time. Thank you for watching.